think I'm live. Um, Welcome back, everyone, to another coding session where maybe we'll be coding stuff, or maybe we'll be stuck in debugging things. What the hell? But yeah, that's the basic goal. With that, we can, I think, get started. So let me quickly bring up a terminal. And let's get this a bit stretched. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi at India, so yeah, we have holiday. So I thought that why not continue from where I left and actually get something done and working. Right. I'm actually quite uh, liking this thing, like getting into the vibe and keep on coding, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it feels nice. So hopefully some people come and I get to talk with some people also in this process. But who knows? Till now there is nobody. And here is the status, right? So if I just build it, I get this thing, right? But as you can see, first of all, the coordinate system looks a bit messed up, right? Why this much, this gap and this gap is not same, right? That is one thing. Second thing is that I need to like make it like this. So at least for now, so that I can stretch and do everything. So let's get that part done first, I guess. Because last time I didn't like completed the coordinate system, so we can do that. Source main, right? Or entry point. All right. Yeah. First things first. Mm, in the like platform windows, if I search for something like with blank, right? So yeah, we have a function called dimensions that basically retrieves, right? So with that, right, we can go to main and we can get the dimension out, right? So let's do that first. So let's say in the event, right, or like in general, like when I'm setting up the render right here. So like so in the render, like we should have some method to resize the viewport, right? So let's do that. So we can have like size. I'll keep it resize. That's fine. And we have this into width and in height, right? Resize. And here you can just GL viewport. Right. It should be okay for now. Now we need to get this width and height, right? So we can do one thing. For example, this renderer right declaration, we can keep it with main window declaration. Right. Oh yeah, nobody has joined, but that's fine. I can keep on working. Today holiday, maybe some people might join, right? So also I would like something like uh, false, and then after a main window and render is initialized, you can say that yeah, our initialize is true, right? And while like in the events, right, we don't get initialized, right? So for example, if not initialized, then I just simply return out of this function, right? And to capture these variables, I can just do this for now. So you're capturing everything. And yeah, so we need to get the width and height, right? And maybe also XY, right? Might not need, but still, because that function needed X and Y, right? So why not? And then we can simply like after renderer has initialized with width and height, we can say renderer dot resize width and height, right? But before that, we need to get the correct width and height. So maybe my window, main window. Why I'm using two kind of case, I don't know. But yeah, main window dimensions and get those dimensions, right? And we can do the same thing when we get like a resize event, right? So like for example, if we what fields do I have available? We have message, right? So if ev.message is equals to something like WM size, right? And we already have the logic. We don't need this. We can just paste this thing, right? We can format this. We don't need to initialize. And we can forget about this part as well. Right. So this and this should give us the resizability. Now I think we need some kind of flag that should be available here somewhere, from which I can deduce basically that like yeah, something like this exactly. So I think I need to pass the flag of resizable. Yeah, this thing is going to resizable, right? So we can pass this flag here. I think I can paste this, right? So now we should technically have a resizable window, which is much more clean. Right? I don't know if it's clean or not, but yeah, it looked a bit better than previously. Right? Resize it as you want, and our squares will start appearing like that. So right now we are not respecting the aspect ratio, but that's fine. The next thing I would like to do is correct the coordinate system, I guess. So for that, I'm still thinking what I should do. Um, so yeah, the simplest thing that comes to my mind, right? Simplest thing we can do. Probably we should restructure this code a bit, but that can go later. Right now, what I am thinking is that um, let's use like our own style of coordinate system. If needed, we can go for model view projection matrix multiplication. But for now, I don't think so. So for our case, right, we want something like this, right? So we want something like this. Like this will be our 0 and 0, right? From here, it should yeah, it should go to this, right, in this direction. and in this direction, right, it like this, right? So here we have this, right? So y goes from bottom to up and so on. So this should be our rect, right? And we can only draw this rect. So let's do that for a second. Let's remove these things, right? And we don't want this words here, right? Maybe, just maybe, we should get this one also, right? Just for the diagram's sake, something like this, right? And the positions we will have like 0 0, right? And this is basically the top left, that point. Then we'll have a 1 0, right? And we'll have exactly the same texture coordinate. We can even remove the texture coordinate, but we can see that later. Okay, so this sounds good. We are going from here to here, right? So we're going clockwise, right? But we need to go anti-clockwise, right? So it should be like this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So 0, 2, 1, that should be the first one, anti-clockwise, and then 0. So this is 0 to 1, right? And this is like this part. We can say that it's already anti-clockwise. So 0 to 1, we do 0 3 2, right? Like 0 3 2, yeah, that's it. So 0 3 2, right? So with that, we can also try like culling, right? Face culling. We will do that because now we are drawing in only one direction, right? In anti-clockwise. So let's just look into the resources, right? So let's modify the shaders accordingly. We might use a model view projection matrix if needed, but right now I'm just thinking of doing it in a simple way. So now that we know that our screen space is this, right, 0 to 1, and this is what my input is going to be always, right? So based on that, I can modify this code to map this, right? So basically, I'm going to map, for example, the x-axis from let's say 0 to 1, right? X-axis is 0 to 1, but this will be mapped to something like -1 to 1, right? So -1 to 1, this will be mapped, right? And same goes from this y-axis, 0 to 1, right? That will be mapped to 1 to 1, 1 to -1, I think, right? So something like this, but the minus is here because this is 1 and this is -1. If you think of the like coordinate system grid, that like Euclidean coordinate system grid that you see in the school or in the graphs, right? So I can have a function, for example, like vec to map axes, right? And we can change this later. And what here essentially it's doing, I think, is first of all, this whatever this number is, it's just multiplying it by 2 and subtracting 1. So that's fine. That's good for this operation. And then this is the same thing, but done in the reverse, right? So with that, whatever position we have, right, we can set that position to be the new axis map position. And with that, if we just build this, right, we get something like this, which I don't know is right or wrong. We can check, but we're at something, right? Now, let's try to draw quads on the whole screen, and we can see, right? So, in the main, what we can do is, first of all, this offset I don't want anymore. I want from x to y, this. whole screen space, right? From 0 to 1, right? And this gap I maybe want to reduce something, and let's just go for like 100, right? So 100 squares on x-axis and 100 squares on y-axis. Because why not? And with that, just that, uh, we get something like this, right? So from here to here, it seems a bit distorted, but that's I guess just my eyes playing tricks with me. But overall, it looks nice, right? We have all these sprites, right? So this is 0 0. That's good. And this is like 1 1, right? Because the default color is green. Then here the blue intensity increases, and this way the red intensity increases. So here the green is 0.5, but the blue and red is 1. So this is kind of light pink, right? So yeah, that makes sense. That looks nice. And now we have this. So yeah, our coordinate system is basically now workable, I think. So we can use it, right? So now let's do this. Let's try to add more data to our sprite, right? So by data, what I mean is that this sprite right now, the sprite we have, if we open it, right? So yeah, so in the sprite definition, right? All you have is the rectangle and the color, right? We can squeeze them later, but right now we can just keep them normal. But later, in later stage, it will be like when we have more data in the sprites, it will be like better to squeeze these four components into like one integer, right? So for color, I don't use like four 32-bit slots, but rather than one 32-bit slot, will get all the colors. But for now, we can keep it as it is, and we can have another vec for like we don't need UV, but we need something similar to this, that is crop. Like what portion of the sprite I want to crop. Right? So by default, it's like 0 0 to 1 1 that I want to crop, but that can change later. And we can also have something like uh effect for so right now uh, we will not be able to like use those sprites because we have this extra crop, but that's fine. We can get around with it. Maybe it's about time we switch to a better C++ version where dot syntax is supported for struct member arrays. But we'll see that. For now, we have like data, right? And that is set to 0, right? So what essentially data allows me is to like store different things. Like for example, which texture I'm going to use. So I have these four slots that I can freely use, I guess. We'll see that later, but this is like four vectors, right? Kind of like a matrix for every sprite, right? If you think of it, although we are not using the matrix as like normal matrix are used, but that's fine. With that, if I try to compile, right, most probably will fail. No, actually, it compiled because we had these default values. But yeah, we're doing some progress, right? So now we can try to load textures, but let's start with fonts themselves, right? Because this is not typically a tutorial kind of thing. So let's go to Chrome. Let's and like no one is watching, man. It's sad, but that's part of life, I guess. Yeah. So we can go to stb2 type, right? and we can go to stv.h. Don't know which popular library should be available. I guess stv. That's my thought. But who am I to thought? So this is basically for fonts, right? Yeah. So you can just be lazy and you can just copy this whole stuff, right? Because why not? We are lazy. And then in the dependencies, right? In the dependencies, just like we have glad, right? A dependency glad include, and inside include there is glad and everything. So we can also have like stv, and we can denote it as like it's available in dependency, right? So we can have something like something like dependency slash includes, right? And inside this includes, this is actually a folder, so I messed up a bit, but yeah, um, yeah. So I need to delete this includes, right? So yes, we want to delete it, and inside devs, right? I want to add a child, mm, which is actually devs slash foods slash something like stv type dot h, right? So now we should have a folder inside dependencies where stb2 type is, and we can just paste, right? I don't know if it will work, but yeah, I think that I have the stb2 type code here, right? Nice. So it's a good library, and this is exactly what we need, I think, right? Get code find hdf. Nice. Yeah, that about it. But also we need to tell our compiler that yeah, this guy we are using, right? So besides this, you also now support ifs slash includes and whatever are inside it, right? But this is about that, and the same goes for our build script, right? So besides supporting this guy, you are now supposed to support this guy as well, right? So yeah, that's about it. And if everything is correct, we should be building, like, even if it's not correct, it does not matter unless we like import it. Only then we will know. So I'd like to have some other libraries from here as well, because I know that I will need them. So one of them being like maybe HTV image, right? Because I need to see what kind of output I'm getting, right? So maybe that. But on the hand thought, we can do that later. So let's get into the fonts, right? So most likely we will create like something like font.hpp, right? For all our fonts, right? And I can open this bad boy and control V, right? And maybe 12 more ones, right? Then hash include let's see, stb to database. Yeah, it came. Nice. And now we can use our namespace, right? Namespace sp, right? And maybe we can say that namespace sp and here, right? And in between we can have something like a struct called font underscore t, right? So yeah, like that. So one thing I like about STV is that it has some examples, right? So I can just open the example in the STV2 type, right? and we can go to the top, right? And we can see like what they're saying. It's very nice about it, right? So I don't typically remember, right? So there are all these things like baseline and all these things about fonts. If needed, we will discuss. I don't think we'll need it because I had seen like this TV also provides like some kind of offset to use it. But yeah, typically it looks like this, right? So every program they need this two lines, right? So you have the implementation, right? So let's just define that, right? This definition, this this definition right here. So yeah, that I think is needed. So we will get that definition. And yeah, let's see. So let's say we have something like a init function which initializes our form, right? So at this moment, the init function should take like, so, and let's see if I can spell correct, file path, right? A simple, and just load that font, right? So for that, what they're doing is they're using this font that we can directly use because I think that is available. And yeah, we can just do this, right? You can have this HTV font info font, right? Which maybe we'll put here, but we can also get it deleted, right? So for now, let's keep things inside in it. Why not? And this is like their naming convention, HTV2 types, HTVTT, like that. So we have this font, right? And then we need to like include this font, get this font, right? So that is done by if read. So why not? And we can get this thing, right? HTV unit font, something like this. Get front index. So yeah, it's very bad to do it like this. So we have this file path, right? And we can have a default value of this file path. Let's start with that, which is this, because right now we are only doing for Windows, so we can just be lazy, right? So we have this default font file path that will be loaded, right? So first we need to load that, and we can use string, but okay, we can use stdio as well. Nothing is wrong with stdio. I love stdio. So yeah, so file pointer file is equal to something like this, where we read the file in binary, and after we have that, we need to yeah, we can say that, why not? And yeah, we can take the font size, and we can define a buffer like that. But for now, we can just say that char buffer, like font buffer, something like this, right? What they have done, right? Something like this. So yeah, I think this much is enough. Like this much is quite a big amount of memory to be considered. So if it overflows, then I can see. For now, I don't. I think this is enough, right? And then we can read the whole data, right, from that file into this buffer, right? So once I have this data read into the buffer, I can finally close the file, and I can initialize the form, right? Why not? Copilot is becoming very good nowadays, right? So now we need to have some kind of atlas, right? So let's work on that. Let's create a simple, maybe, yeah. Let's just use 1D atlas for now. We can always get things done. But let's say we have a font like get things combined together. Yeah, what is this, bro? So yeah, I'm from India, and basically I'm trying to create a small text editor in OpenGL using OpenGL, and also like once the basic text editing is working, then we can work on different text editing related algorithms. Maybe, yeah. But the goal is to like get into like actually coding for myself again, right? Outside office work, just coding for fun. This is all that about. So yeah. So struct font atlas, right? And basically a font atlas is where your all the font data is stored, right? So maybe it can be a part of this, right? But what I want is have a buffer, like some kind of buffer. Like I want to have say, something like uint8 underscore t star, something like that, like data, then width, then maybe height, right? And maybe we can have like void init, right? Which will take into it and in height, and we'll do that. And maybe also in channels, right? And I can call this like image underscore t, something like that. A simple image what we are storing, right? We can move this later. So for this I think I need std int h, right? Yeah. So that's it. And I like malloc a bit. So yeah, I don't know. I like New is also fine. I don't care. But also we want to take channels, right? So int channels equals to normally an image will be 3 channels, but here this data will be like this, right? And then the buffer will be cleared out. Uh, yeah, right. So yeah, this font is what? Okay, I got it. So I was using capital W. Yeah, that's caps lock was one. So, hello, I'm trying to learn C++. Can you recommend me where to learn advanced C++? Well, the basic like starting point of advanced C++, I think will be like Charno, I guess. He he like when I was growing up, I watched his C++ series. So yeah, like that might be good. There is also a guy called Schroding. He doesn't do that much C++. But I think he is quite good, like quite good, right, in discovering stuff, but not as a teaching material. I would suggest like doing something like when you have some knowledge in C++, you can watch people doing stuff and you can pick up from them. If you can suggest something that would be yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you can basically yeah. So that's it. Mm, how about this? Right. So yeah. So we have this font, and then we can have something like for example, we can call it sleek. That's why not, right? And we can have some default values for these guys. Like this is 0 should be fine, but why not? 2 is the Romans. So by default, the image does not have anything, right? So you can have a font as image t called Atlas, right? Atlas image, right? Where all the fonts you're storing, right? And here, um, we can initialize that. So we can have a value like something like uh with size, right? And we can have 512 pixels for that. Right? We can increase this as we need, but we can just use this macro instead. So that wherever we need, we can replace that, right? So why not? So yeah, we can create a one channel atlas because in font we don't need other channels. Once that's been done, we also need to have some kind of like font data, right? So I guess for what, like I have done this once or twice before, so I'm just going from that instinct. But if needed, we will search and figure out. Yeah. Mm, so you're trying to create a memory allocator project, but it's too complicated for me to understand memory management and stuff. See, here is the thing. The like short description about memory that I understand and I can give you is this. Like you have like this is when I was trying to like understand how to create OSs, right? So you have this contiguous like virtual memory block, right? You have this contiguous virtual memory block, and you can ask your allocator like where you are creating, you can like allocate this virtual memory block, right? So yeah, like for example, in your allocation start, you can have something like my mem block, right, equals to some like giant allocation, maybe like yeah, like even more like 100 MB or something like that. How much like your total allocator will have, right? And then you will have something like a linked list, which will store all the pointers that you allocate to, right? So, for example, or you can use an array or whatever you like. So, for example, you allocate this space, right? So, wherever you allocate data, you basically keep on appending that offset, right? Wherever you allocate it, maybe you allocated at zero, that was of like let's say size of like 100 MB, right? And then you allocated, let's say, at like 101 location, and that was like 200 MB and so on. You keep on keep this list, right? And then what you basically do is I think you like when you free, basically you mark this region as free, like you maintain some sort of dirty flag, a flag, right? Also, so that tells you whether this region is free or not. And based on that, you can have a scheduler which might be triggered by event based, like whenever someone is calling out free, right? So which will basically keep this linked list clean, and based on the flags, will remove entries and maybe defragment, means that squeeze the data to the front area, right? Or maybe use different strategies to fill the holes, okay? Because as you keep on allocating, the holes will be created. So you can have that kind of scheduler, like after two or three frees, it will basically free that linked list. Like it will recompute and reevaluate the linked list and sort out the memory. So we will have some kind of that kind of representation for text as well. And that's basically it. And when you malloc, you just find the best fit for your next block to give, and you give that block. But it's a very nice thing to do. It's very interesting. Yeah, we might do that sometime. Like I had done that before. But that's the basic thing that I did. Right. So yeah, we actually need this thing much more. That is the glyph. So we'll call this font glyph. And we I don't want to store like a lot of information. So I will be happy with like float something like should we use like we just can use int, and later we can use, yeah, that's fun, kid. Yeah, like getting stuck is the best part, right? You keep on getting stuck. That's how you improve, right? I don't know, like ever I have been in a situation where I didn't get stuck, right? But it actually helped me learn a lot of things, actually. And then yeah, we need some kind of offset, right? And apart from that, like we need this advance, right? How much a font is moving. So we can have that baseline and everything stuff, right? But still we can calculate that. So in that case, all we need is the rectangle and how much inside that rectangle we need to shift, right? How much inside that rectangle we need to go down. And yeah, and like after placing the rectangle, how much we should move the cursor along the baseline so that we can paste the next one, right? We'll figure that out. But yeah, this is the basic informations about a font that I might need to store. And yeah, so we will have like these for different fonts, right? So right now, should we go for like Unicode style from the beginning? That is the question, because we can either store the glyphs as ASCII or a Unicode, but it makes more sense to store them as Unicode. So yeah, let's try to do that. So yeah, that's what I was actually thinking of using non-ordered map, right? But a giant array would have also sufficed, like have also worked for us right now. And also I don't know, like it will find like, I don't know this client, but it will find also error in unordered map. But that's fine. So we can have an unordered map, right? STD unordered map of this. But instead of char, a character, I want to have like in 64 or maybe even 64 underscore p, right? So the reason being that I want to support also like different Unicode code points. So these will actually represent all code points, right? So besides file path, right? Besides files path, our constructor may also take like a vocab, right? So let's say we can have a int star code points or even 32 p star code points, right? Mm, that I want to initialize, right? And these code points needs to have a default value. So that is the next thing that we most likely need to have, right? So we can create a default code points, I think, right? So maybe event 32 underscore t default code points, right? And like maybe it has like I don't know. We'll see how many we can have. So we have this, right? And then I have this, right? We have at the rate. We have up to this, right? So yeah, we need to declare them separately. Otherwise, what will happen? And does it not like it cannot automatically do. That's it. So yeah, but I want to have a like I don't want to like all the code points myself. But let's say our default code points is just the English alphabet, right? So yeah, this looks nice, right? So the lowercase seems a bit less, right? Anyways, so the idea is that we'll have these default code points, right? And we'll have this default code points populated. right? So something like what I think would be better is like doing 32 underscore the get the default code points, right? Which will give me the default code points, and we can call this here like why not use a vector? Why not use a vector? Right? Why not use a vector? And there you also get the size. I know. So yeah, this can be a vector, right? Vector of it, right? And yeah, it should have a std in front of it, I guess. Mm, with that, now we can maybe we can do something like this exactly. So we have the code points that we need from the text, right? And we can add those letters and these code points. This can be an vector reference, right? But, const vector of un, because we're not going to modify that in div anyway. So it makes sense to have something like this. Right. This can be a static function, right? Right. And so what you can have is like a static default, like points equals to get default code points, something like this, right? And this is like a static std vector of uint 32 underscore t. Hmm. Is anybody watching the stream? That's I don't know. Uh Currently one person is watching. Hi man, thanks for watching. Yeah. So we have our default code points, right? So now we can use those default code points. That's fine, right? Const this will be a std vector, right? And we can change something else if we want. But yeah, this is basically my function signature would look like. How my function signature would look like. Having this here better. Alright. So yeah, we will most likely use the default code points only. Now when needed we can see. But for now I don't really care. Let's get those data read. Right. So yeah, we will use something like an SDF. Alright. So what we can do is we can search for like SDF. Right. SDF computation, SDF blah blah blah. And we can go to all the next instances of SDF, right? Maybe capital SDF. Yeah. So this is for setting, right? We want something for get, right? So this thing, right? So we have this font info, right? So you can pass it here. So maybe what we want is, and it is gives me the code point, right? So we can have something like a for loop for CP, right? For let's say auto reference CP This is basically an unsigned int 64, right? 64 plus 40 or 32. I think 32 we're using. Let's see. Can take reference, but for a int reference, it's same as copy, I think. I don't care about that much. Be sure to be precise. Code points, right? So for every code point, what I would first want is the buffer, right? So you int 8 underscore t star bitmap so that it gets the right one. Bitmap. I can name the variable. Should get it. Yes, exactly. And now I can get everything. Right. So we have these clips, right? So first of all, we need a new clip. That is for sure. So that's what we'll do. Is that glyphs CP is a new empty glyph, right? And then what we'll do is we'll remove this. Now we can again have this. Instead, get code point this. So first parameter is correct. We are passing the font, right? The second parameter we can see later. For now, let's keep it as it is. The third parameter is the code point that we need to pass, and it is an int, so it's compatible. The next is the width height. No. Next is the on edge value. That is good, I think. And pixel this. These things we can check later, right? These are the different like parameters to treat the SDF. And next is the width and height, right? So width and height we are supposed to get, right? And this width and height is nothing but so we can have something like auto reference g equals to this clip, right? And so we can say that okay, I don't know, I just want address of let's say g dot x maybe, and address of g dot y, and also address of width and height, right? So but yeah, so no, actually width and height, x and y doesn't make any sense here, so you can remove this too, right? So width and height, yeah. So you can have only the width and height, right? And followed by we can have something like this, right? Like you can have something like one second, just let me resize the chat window a bit so that I can see if somebody chats something. Why is it getting docked? I don't want it to be docked. Okay. So that now let's continue. So next is this x offset and y offset that we need to get, right? These things. So it will be same, right? So x offset, y offset, and advance. So advance should also be given, right? So it's not giving the advance. Why? So ideally it should give the advance, right? So but like every font, they have their like own kind of width, right? They have their own kind of advancement, right? That is one thing. And the second thing is that I'm not 100% sure that these values are directly usable, right? So regarding that, let me just look into some code, right? If I find, which is hard to do, but if I find, then maybe. just maybe. Yeah. So one good thing is that I found this guy who is much more useful, right? So instead of like get that code points like this is fine. Like, we can always tweak these things, right? Um, so let's not go into it. At least not right now. So now that we have this, right, this buffer or whatever we call it, we have the data, everything. What we can do is how do we get the advanced, right? Yeah, so it's something like this. Yeah, it's something like this. Like we don't get the advance here, right? We get it from um. So now it should not complain. It shouldn't complain, right? Let's put point SDF, right? It has font, it has the scale, it has after scale, this code point, then it has padding, then it has on edge, and it has pixel distance. So on edge is I think missing right now. We just have put the pixel distance. I think that's the thing. So yeah, on edge you can have something like I don't know, maybe just an example. So yeah, so after padding, on edge we can have something like, for example, let's say 180 for now. Because why not, right? And we can also say padding is like 4, right? We can work with this, but at least now we have the like correct parameters, right? So now comes the advance. So advance is done by this. So this one code I copied. So yeah. So the advance we can get from here. So now we can just put the font here, right? And this will be like g dot advance. Like I know that even if I do add the and percent g dot advance, it will get the advance address only. So just to be more how do I say, more specific. And this one is I think the code point, right? So in our case this is CP, right? And we can use null pointers. And this gives me the advance, right? That's good. But so this is scale. So at some point of time, I need to multiply the scale, right? So if I search for, right, is EBTT followed by get code point H matrices, right? So X shift is X. mm, 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 Left side bearing is the offset from current horizontal position to the left edge of the character. And advanced width is the okay. So left side offset we can just ignore for now. But my question is like here I'm giving the scale, right? And based on that scale, these values are derived. So how do I like how do I calculate the advance to be just how it should be, right? That is my question. So, um, I don't see here actually getting that advanced calculated, right? So how does like advanced needs some kind of font size, right? Otherwise, how would it get the correct advance, right? And yeah, that is one question that I have. The second thing is that we should probably have this as float, but on that the transformation we can do at render side itself. Maybe the ints I would like to have like int 32 underscore, right? Just to be more mm, annoying and looking professional. Yeah. So that one thing we can do. And now that we have these clips, right? So the next portion will be like we got this data, right? But we need to write this data as well. We have created this atlas, right? And that atlas is currently like filled with all the zeros. Right. I think, yeah. So it's filled with all zeros. It should also consider C, right? It's filled with all zeros. Now I need some kind of a member method by which I can put a region here, right, in this atlas, and it should understand. So you can have like void set sub image, something like that. Sub image. We need to think of what conventions we need to use naming, but that will come on the refactor, right? So in the set sub image, we need obviously int x and int y. Like we can have it like this, right? So int x we can have these values here, right? So we can have int x, int y, int width, int height, and then yeah, the data pointer, right? It can be const, it might not be const. It does not mean anything. So now for int I, let's do a very naive implementation, right? So for let's say int I equals to 0, I is less than the height, right? I do I plus plus inside for each x pixel, like for int j equals to 0, j is less than wj plus plus, and for each channel, right? So for each channel, uh, so here is the thing, like let's just remove this part, right? So now that we have this, right, we know the pixel that I need to fill, right? And I need to fill like our I value will be offset by x, right? So yeah, let's think of it, and the j value will be offset by width, right? So what we can do is we can also say that from x go to x plus h, right? That makes more sense, but I don't care. So something like size t index, right? And you can use both size t here as well, but that's fine. Yeah. So our index will be something like exactly. So we'll have we'll start from y offset, and we'll go till this, right, width. then X till height, and will basically look through that many channels. Yeah, that makes sense. So now for so in k equals to v8, I will just do this. Right. So yeah, so we have this index, right? Actually this is where I'm putting, right? But also the image index. So this is like something like destination image, right? Index. But the source index, right? Size source index is nothing but this thing, right? So y times width times c. Yeah. Probably we don't need height, but no, we need height because of this thing, right? So what we need actually here is something like source width, right? Also. So this is here, and here I know that I need to paste. No, like if I know that this width and this height I am going to paste, right? So this is basically the width of the source image, right? We are saying that we're pasting the image is of this size, right? The source image is of width and height size, and it's starting from 0 0. So from x and y, I want to populate only this image size, right? So there is no scaling involved. So with that case, we can just simply say, right? We can say that yeah. So in the destination plus k, you do the source plus k, right? So this is the simple thing, like y times width plus height, like x offset, right? The only thing is that because we have channels, we just need to skip that many channels. If that makes any sense. I don't know, but they should get us going, right? So now that we have this glyph, now that we have this glyph, we can have something like x fill offset x and size t offset y, right, equals to 0. And then what we can do is we can say that yeah, so if offset x plus the glyphs uh, here is greater, then probably I'd like to increase the size. So maybe I can have something like size to row height, which will be like for example 40 in this case, right? Because why not? And we can use like row height, right? Oh, we find some other way, right? Maybe this is not what I think it is, right? And then we can in the offset y we can have like a row height plus let's say a small bias like for example maybe 10 pixels. So with that, now you can get started with writing to that class, right? So this offset x and offset y we will write right in that class, and we will write these many pixels from this bitmap, right? And once that's done, we can just free the bitmap, right? So we end up with this atlas image, right? So what I'd like to have also this image class is a way to save, right? Um, see if we're loading this image correctly. Otherwise, like will we keep on? Or we can just simply try to render this image, right? So what I would like to do is 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 draw this image somehow, right? That would be fun. So right now this image should give us this atlas image, right? So let's just include this code, and then we can continue from there, right? So at this point of time, we can safely, for example, include here. We can change that later, but right now we can include font.hpp, right? Something like that, and then with font.hpp at our disposal, what else can we do, right? That should be the next question. So we can create a font, right? Can have something like maybe a font underscore, maybe sp font underscore p font, right? Something like that, and then we can say font dot init, right? And this should init the font. Right now, that's all we want. So if this works, right, that means if this fails, that means we are somewhere, right? But as you can see, like we crashed, and the most likely reason for that is that we're loading a lot of fonts, right? So rather, what I would like to do is that inside fonts, right? So if we go inside fonts, we can set here. Yeah. So font. So yeah, maybe this is a good point where we reload. Yeah. So if we go into font, right? In the font, we have all this fancy things, right? We have this file pointer, blah blah blah, bullshit. But my assumption is this font image is very small, right? So how about we just have some of our own fonts? Like for example, I think this should work. I didn't understand like why it didn't work. Like if I say here, for example, A, then B, like not as a string, but just as a character, like A, and then like character B, right? And then character C, and then maybe character D, right? It's four characters. Yeah, and then I try to do something like this, like I try to do something like build this, right? So it's still didn't work. Right. So that we need to develop it. So we need to add a few pins to it. First of all, did just for once to get a clear idea. So it's called the window created and then the cell return, right? Obviously. Mm, so I did the shell return. Easy because we have this file, right? We have this buffer. We read the buffer. We close the file, right? And at the end we delete the buffer. But right now I'm not concerned about it, right? What I'm concerned about is that right. So that is the first thing. The second thing I want to have is that okay, so this thing should go here. We're trying to access a memory that is not loaded, right? And let's say yeah, something like that. Place offset x and offset y. These are edits, right? Or offset and or x and offset y are basically s shapes, right? So this will be something like I guess. I don't know. Most likely zero. Maybe yeah. Right. And this bitmap, right? Like if we just don't care about seeing this bitmap for now, at least. Right. So and we just want to see where things went wrong. So the window created, but after that everything crashed, right? So it didn't get to this point, right? It didn't get to this point. It didn't get to this point, right? So here let's printf. Although we should probably use a debugger, but that's fine. Initializing font from file this, and then you can say that okay, printf loading font file, then printf initializing font like that. And if I do something like build, right, we get window created and then everything shuts down. Right. So the image itself is not reachable. So that thing we need to find out, right? Yes, maybe. So we have this font.h right here, nothing else. This font.h, right? And we let's say remove this guy, and we have vector and student.h. That's fine. So now that we have this, right, it should have its own header guard. So I'm not worried about this topology. And get timestamp clearly works. So let's not init you, right? Let's import you, and then let's ask us the question that is this runs, and the short answer is yes, right? But the moment I want to init you, you go out of my reach. Nah, not this guy. So yeah, the main why don't you like initializing you, right? Why don't you like getting initialized, Mr. Font? Let's understand that, right? So yeah, you can see like one of the most important part is figuring out why things are breaking and how, right? For example, I can have a printer, right? Initialize like font and font initialize something like this. And we build it, right? Still get close. So the printf, what did it do? Printf does buffered writing, but as soon as it encounters a backslash, and it should write back, right? Because like for example, if I simply remove this line now, and if I compile, right? So I get this window created message, right? But somehow I don't get the other printfs. That's that's kind of odd. But one thing we can do, right? Like it didn't crash, right? So if we build here, right? Okay, then we get all this information, right? Get all this information. Okay. Somehow it's that editor's fault, but with that information now, what we can do is we can uncomment this, right? We can uncomment this, and then we can build this, right? And after initializing font, it crashes. Right? With that information in mind, I think I know the issue. So let's try to address that a bit, right? Most likely, this buffer allocation, right? Most likely it is not enough. So let's go for like 25 as the suggested. That is one possible reason. There might be multiple. Right? So after initialized font, the system clearly fails. Right? So one of the reasons might be like mm, might be that here like maybe we should just do this Arial, right? And after initializing font, this loading font is never stored because this buffer was unable to be created. So what we can do is we can say that okay, I respect you, but unfortunately this much memory I cannot allocate on the stack. So I will go for a heap allocation. Is that fine with you, or you have problem with that? So something like that. Maybe malloc make them free at the end of this unit function when we have all the information we need. So if we just do that, now we reach to the point till where we have this, right? This font atlas image created, but then it failed, right? With this size. So it basically failed in that for loop, right? So we are getting somewhere, right? So yeah. So a larger part of it is finding out what went wrong and fixing it. So up to this point, it ran, right? And this is fine, right? But from here on out, right? This first printf was not printed, right? So I want to first get to this point, right? Where I can say that printf something like and then I can print here also like I got this advance, right? So I know that in each step what is going on, right? So with that, you know, in your hand, right? We can get a bit more about the information, valuable information. But it didn't reach to there after this line, right? On that plus created with this size, it died, right? So we need to check that. So yeah, in the font, right? So maybe yeah, here somewhere here. Uh, so font initialized with this, then didn't reach that far. Didn't reach that far here. So here you can say print f processing and then something like that. Right. So yeah, we are processing the character A and we are generating the HDF for A. But then we failed. We failed. We failed at this step. Uh, failed at mm, this step, this function call. Because if this function call succeeded, then we will have something to see. So I need to understand this on edge value maybe a bit and this whole thing. So this font, right, we had, we didn't ever like this font here, right? We never reallocated it. So why is it that it's sad with us? That is a thing that we need to find out. And I think we can find that out, right? So get this buffer, right? So maybe my guess is that that scale I am using is too large. Maybe because I found something like this somewhere, and so most likely this should be row height, and we should use this scale instead. Maybe that's what I had done previously, right? And this is our mm, yeah, and maybe what were the pixel distance and on edge value we were using. So my pixel distance is quite large actually. If I see something like 14 something, right? So with that, do we get font initialized? It loaded the font. Okay, so the distances were maybe wrong, but we were able to load these clips, right? And our window is also now visible, right? So yeah, maybe that was the issue. But now we can use this clip, right? Because it's a one by one clip, right? So we can just have a feel of if the font is getting correct. Then okay, we can do like a lot of things. But basically what I have here is a fraction between 0 and 1, right? So based on that, from this I can query the atlas that sorry, I accidentally switched off my microphone. So yeah, that's fine. So from this, we can query the atlas, right? That are you colorful or are you not? So if we do something like that, right? So we know that the atlas is 512 by 512, right? So what we can do is in x ix is equals to something like underscore x like underscore x times 512, right? And iy is something like this. And then what I can do is I can check that if um font dot atlas image dot data, right? In that data, if iy times also 512 um plus ix is less than some grade, is let's say less than, not even half, like less than, like for example 40, right? We don't want to see that, and if we just do that itself, yeah, we get nothing. So at this point I doubt it, if I'm writing, but with the belief that we are writing, and with the belief that we have this something like 512, so we should probably do this. But that's fine. Maybe we can do this a bit more. So one of the things is to keep on trying, right? That's what all of us are doing. Keep on trying. If the for the image data is equals to zero only, maybe only then we may consider not not continuing, right? Otherwise, you may consider continuing. Maybe that's the right way. I don't, and still we get no data, right? So what my heart is telling me is just write this data down and then look into this data. So maybe we can just do that also. So this data we have, right? This like this font, right? So you can check, right? So for when I equals to zero, I is less than maybe I plus plus, and then we can check if let's say font dot atlas image dot data I, right? This is equals to zero, right? Um, this is not equals to zero actually. So this is not equals to zero. We can consider that it's empty, right? Um, like is empty is true. By default, is empty is false. And then we can just simply check, right? That if oh, this is empty equals to true. It was right. This is empty equals to false. Right. And we can just completely we just want to see, right? So at this point, you know that it's not empty, so you can just print, right? So print if font at last is not empty, right? And then break from this loop, right? That should do that, right? So now if we run this, right? So the font is initialized, right? We could get this deep point, but as you can see, like the font atlas is empty. So yeah, that we get from it. And also here we don't see any value, so that supports that zero. So now we need to know like why it's empty. That's the next question to ask, right? And yeah, we'll look into it. I think I will take a small 4 or 5 minutes break and drink some water, and then I will continue. But just look at it once. So we are calling this set sub image, right? and this set sub image is supposed to write this data, right? The set sub image, this function is supposed to write the data, right? And this looks correct to me, mm, at least for now. So here are we not calling this? Yeah, we're calling this atlas image dot set sub image, right? And then also this final thing is printed, right? So here also, if we look here, right, I'm printing at x subset minus 2. Okay, so now this is the problem, I think. Like, placed at all are placed at 0, 0, it's saying, right? So this placement has some issue that we need to fix. But the good thing is that you have this width and height, and now this x offset and y offset values, right? Which are negative values, which makes sense. Um, and I will look into it how. But it also has this huge advance value, right? So maybe we can divide this advance by some parameter to actually get that that too, the actual advance. But you can check. Otherwise, you can just use the width as well for a basic rendering purpose. So why is it that it's always placed at 0, 0? That is the question that we need to answer for. So I can look at that answer and then I can take a small break, right? And then I can come back. So here in the font, like if we look here, right, this offset x and offset y, right, these are at least offset x needs to be incremented, right? That's what we're not doing actually. So let's say offset x should be implemented by I don't know, maybe we can use row height custom, right? So this is like the box, right? Every box I know that it's of row height plus 10, right? This should at least implement the offset x, right? So and then we can look at the bitmap as well, right? Right? Why that bitmap is not like, does the bitmap contain only zeros? Is that the reason, or something else? Or we can see that, right? But from this thing alone, right, we can build this, right? And we can see that, yeah, it's increasing the offset where it's supposed to write, but still it hasn't written anything. That is bit sad. So yeah, that we need to discover, right? So mm, so here, right, here we're writing, right? So one thing I want to check that if print, let's say, that is one thing. The second thing is the actual value, right? Maybe, yeah, it will be too much of logging that was never triggered. It's too much of logging that is never triggered. We never go inside the loop. Nice. So do we get inside that function? Mm, that is a question that we need to answer, right? So do we do this? Is this function called? So printf setting sub image, right? So yeah, You get this settings of image with this size, of this size, of this size, of this size, and at these locations, right? So the function is being called, right? Function calling is not the issue here, at least from what I can see, right? So then what is the issue? Why don't we get inside that loop even once, right? What prevents us? These channels, right? And what is this channel, right? If we ask this question to ourselves, these channels, right? So this channels is zero, and we never update the channels. So channels equals to C. If we just do that, right? Mm, yeah. So if we just do that, is that if we just say channel equals to C, and then I don't know, maybe W cube, and we run this. Nice. So we get some kind of a notion that something is here. Like some kind of a A is here, maybe some kind of a B is here, so on. Right. So, for example, we can remove, like, and then and now suddenly we have all these things, right? Because this channel was set to zero. Yeah. So we fix the bug. I think we're not sure, 100%. But let's say we go to font, and let's remove all this things, right? This is huge. And I can check later that if it's actually correct or not. Right. And with that, we can also remove most of this things, right? This these printfs that are like just for logging, right? I know that okay, this printf needs to be there. Okay, it's inside this if statement. But yeah, we can remove this processing code points one, right? And we can have only this one, maybe or not. We can just have this one line. It's not that much, right? So now if we build it, we get something like this, right? So atlas is also not empty, and font is initialized, right? And I can see this the fonts appearing here, not as we expect, but still getting something, right? We can get that thing sorted out. So for the first sorting out, what I want is that instead of when it's zero to be continued, right? I want it to be continued when it's, let's say, less than 1, like half, 0.5, so 128. Like a bit more than half. And just if we just do that only, we get like rough outlines of the fonts, right? So we know that in fact we are loading the fonts, and because these are SDF fields, so these are a bit spread out, right? So for example, we can do something like this, right? We can even increase it, right? So like for example, 150 right now, and if we do that, we get this, right, ABCD. So we're not like absolutely going nowhere. We're actually getting stuffs, right? So first just load all the fonts, then take some rest, and then we can like use this to render them. And yeah, at some point of time we can then close this trim. In fact, I can close this trim right now because we're loading the font, but I will take a small break, and then we'll finish off the rendering. Okay, maybe a 4 or 5 minutes to 10 minutes max break. Not many people are there, but I don't think like in YouTube you get like that many tutorials of font loading. So actually, this would have been a great one. learning resource for you into how to twist it. But yeah. Mm, so one thing I really want to do, right, is first of all, like in the red, I hate that clear color for some reason. I don't like that clear color a bit. So wherever I have set that clear color, right, I want to remove that from existence. It's not in render, I think it's in main. Uh, okay. Whenever I try to open main, I accidentally open this binary code. Yeah. So I need to delete this main.exe at some point of time. But we can do that later because we are good people. And so here somewhere I'm clearing the screen or in the renderer update. Right. Ideally, we should do it in the renderer update. Right. So wherever that update or render function I have written, I'm clearing the color buffer bit and so on. But where I'm setting the clear color here, the init, right? So I want something like a little bit like Luis, and also in the font, right? We can now try to load all the fonts, right? So maybe I want you to load all this. So this, and then after this, maybe we want to load this, right? So this will be a lot, and most likely will overflow, but it didn't. We have all the fonts loaded in one single atlas image that you can use to actually draw sprites. Right now, we're using very small sprites to like approximate the drawing of the font. But like I think this gives you a picture, right? So we can just fill the atlas a bit more, because why not? Mm, so we also would like to have the like some character symbols maybe. So like for example, plus, and yeah, these ones will be nice. And here comma should be nice, right? So now that we have this like basic character endpoints, right? And maybe we want the green like 0.0, right? Or like a bit light. Why not? So let's say 0.1, right? And in the renderer, we can set the clear color to something like I don't know. Maybe the red is completely zero, but this is a bit high. So now, if we have that, and if we run this, we get this beautiful atlas of different characters. Right. And I can zoom this. Right. We have all these characters somehow drawn on the screen using some tiny pixels. Right. The most inefficient way. But still, we get a good face. So it's not that bad. Right. So next step will be to draw them in one sprite, right? Draw one this one in one sprite, because you can see that their arrangement may not be in like, right line, right? So that thing we have to check, and to check that this log will probably help us a lot, right? This law will probably help us a lot, right? Yeah. So I'll just keep this window here, right? So you can see the output also. Maybe I'll switch this a bit, and I will take a small break, and I will come back, and we'll finish the remaining part of the SDF1 rendering, right? Where, but yeah, like we are progressing. That is quite good. So yeah, I will take a small break for around 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll come back, and we will have this thing done properly, and we'll maybe we'll load a file and we'll show it here. Yeah. So yeah, I'm taking a small break, huh? Yeah. So I'm not back yet. I'm just still taking some break. You can get some. Maybe if you want to chat, I can chat because I can see two people are watching. Right. Thanks, man. Mm, maybe we can try to play some other music. The only issue is that ads will come, and then that will be a problem.
Want to get into
Yeah,
software development,
like this
data
guy.
analytics?
Right. I've heard this one. It's nice. This is our CV Fibonacci series. I was recently watching this like slice of life anime. Right. Mm, so yeah, we might try this one. And for the newcomer, we are trying to build something like a text editor. So we are at the point where we were successfully able to load the fonts, and we were like we are just showing them using some tiny pixel size sprites. But the next step will be to use individual sprites to show these fonts, right? So that it actually looks much more nicer than this. Because he will not like to use this kind of looking text editor, right? Yeah. So we'll get into that in a few in 1 or 2 minutes. I'm just taking a bit chill right now where I dive into it. And also thinking as to how we should simply approach it. Then we'll restructure a bit. One thing for sure, we will need multiple atlases for multiple fonts, which will have much more than this. So at some point of time, we will have like different pages of atlas, and we will refer to those pages, right? We'll upload maybe 4 or 5 or 6 pages and use those pages, and we'll pre-compute those pages based on the file contents, most likely. You know, like what unique characters we have. So that way, like we have the like only the characters that I need, that we need, nothing else. So yeah, that we can do. So let's get back into the code for now. Yeah, in the renderer, right? The work we will do is probably in the renderer. Now we have this data, right? So we might have that like some indexes to remember maybe. So like for example, like font index. Yeah, that variable that constant is already declared. So maybe something like front with no like sprite type IDX. IDX stands for index in this case. So wherever I write IDX, it's just index. So that is the first index maybe. The and it will be like font. So if it's a zero, that means we might be rendering a rect, and if it's one, then that means we might be rendering a font. Maybe that's the convention we'll go with. And the second one will be most likely the texture ID, right? So sprite type IDX, in front of that it will be TID IDX, right? So texture ID index, which will be like the first index. And the other two indexes we can use later. We can look into them later. Yeah, something like that. With that, now what we can do is we can have something like a texture creation method, right? Just like we have this shader creation, like create shader program. You can have something like a texture created, right? So maybe you and create font texture, maybe, which will essentially take a font, right? So and from that we can return the texture, right? Yeah. So let's get that done quickly. So I think it's good, right? So have this texture ID, then we are generating this texture from this texture ID, right? And this is most likely yes, we got font. So why is it font is not in this namespace, right? So most likely we need to include that. So hash include font.http. Why not? Right. And then maybe here we have the font is not defined. Why is it saying font is not defined when font is clearly defined? So we fake, right? In the search, we have this font.hpp as well. Right? And inside this font.hpp, we have image data type, and then we have this font glyph data type, and then finally we have this font data type as well. Right. So font underscore t is clearly there. It should not complain about it. And yeah, so that you need to check, like, why are you complaining, kind of scenario. So the complaint is this: font t is not in the namespace sp, right? But in the font header file itself, we have namespace sp here, right? So it should clearly be in sp. So just for the sake, if we just build it, right? So I did it crash, yeah. So blah blah blah. Two few arguments to call. Line number 75, right? So yeah, in line number 75, it has some issues, right? I can go to the line number 75 actually. So now it's complaining about here. That's good. So yeah, GL text image 2D, right? We can look at its definition, right? So search for GL image 2D, right? And we can look at its definition, right? And we can maybe try to match that definition. So first parameter is the target, which obviously is 2D. The second parameter is the level, right? So yeah, you might get later, you might generate mate maps. So we have only one channel, so GL red is fine. Then we have this width and height, all right? And then we have the border, which is 0, all right? Then the internal format that we are using, that is also right, and we are using unsigned file, right? But this data, right? So this itself is a pointer, I think. So I think this is the right way of doing it. So this will hopefully give us a texture for the font, and we can use that texture now. So let's get that doing. So we'll have something like a font as well in our, for now only one font. We'll get that fixed soon. So font t font that we might have, right? And then for this font, we can minimize this and we can have our um, feeling like this, right? Maybe a bit here, right? And now that we have this font, right, we can initialize that font when we are also initializing this thing, right? So here, after we're done with the initializing with the, if we like, we can get initialization done anywhere. So do I want the font to be loaded? Because why not? So we can just initialize the font, because the font has a default Arial, right? So at this point, the font should be loaded. Although we're not, we need to check whether we're deleting the data, but we can do that later. So that the font is initialized, right? So the next thing that we can do is most likely create a texture out of the font, right? So we can just have like different textures, right? So you can have like the font texture is equals to 0, something like that. And now that we have our font loaded, right, we can load our texture as well. So font texture is create font texture from the font, and we just load create font texture here. So it might be right, it might be wrong. We don't know. We will come to know later at some stage of our life, right? And maybe I just want this to be assorted a bit nice, right? Something like that, so that it's in one line. Maybe the or we can just have it like, I don't know, not this much, but up to this, and then something like this, right? So it looks a bit ugly, but it keeps the line size small, right? So yeah, we can just write it like this, right? Now that we have two more attributes, right? So with 3 and 4, we also need 5 and 6, which are both obviously of same type. So we can just copy this, right? And we can come here and we can paste this stuff. So we can paste this stuff, right? And so this is 2, right? See, this is 4, and this will be 5, right? No, this will be always 4. This will be 5, right? So we can have like one line gap after every thing so that everything is clear, right? This is what we are doing. So this value, right? This will be 5, right? This is the fifth index that we are working on, and this is the fourth index that we are working on, right? So we have and the fifth index is for data, right? Whereas this rect is for crop, right? So with that, you can basically have this new attributes loaded right here. With, I don't know, maybe minimal effort, maybe not. Who knows? I don't know, to be honest. But with that, right, that we essentially have our fonts loaded. Yeah. So now, what we can do is we can VSP. We can search for the shaders, right? So in the shaders, what we have is now two more items, right? So layout location is equals to 4, which is crop, and which is data. So the texture ID itself is the, but for now also let's just use the UV itself, like the crop we'll use. uh, right now let's just render the texture, right? So in order to render the texture, right, I need to bind the texture here. So what we can see that, yeah, we have the shader program. We have bound the shader program and the vertex array. But before binding the vertex array, maybe I want to bound the texture as well. So yeah, we'll activate the texture and we'll bind it, right? And we can get this sorted later. Right now, let's just go with the flow, right? So this is what I need to bind basically. This is all we need. So now that we can have something like a mm, uniform, maybe in after this, right? So uniform sampler to the font texture, right, of the same name, right? And then from this sampler, I can say that okay, we have this flag UV, right? So from this flag UV, I can say that sampled is this, right, texture, and then the tint color could be multiplied by the sample, right? So but like actually the X component or Z component will be changed also. So most likely we will do font final color is equals to 1. For now, we will get that changed later. But let's say for now, just for temporary. So let's say RGB or W or whatever. So with this, with only this change, we can again go to the main, right? That's CDP. Yeah. And you can have only one slide push instead of this like whatever chaos we are doing, right? And you can check. Let's do that. So we can remove all this stuff, right? And no, not all. Like you can remove this part. You can remove this part. Right? So we end up with this part only. And in this part, so we want to render it let's say 0, 0. And we want to render in a red color, for example, right? Because why not? And these are the two. And this DW is, I think, let's say we want like half of the screen, right? Still half of the screen. This will also fetch things properly. And then the crop is as it was supposed to be. So 0, 0 and 1, 1, right? And for the texture, right? We need the texture ID of the font. Right. But right now we have only one texture. So ideally we're fine right now because we're not using it. Don't know. We can just build and see everything failing. Right. So obviously everything failed. There is no doubt about it. And basically it's main.cpp line number 166 to this thing. Right. So let's just fix that part really quick. So I think it's because I need this comma, right? So now yeah, it's appearing. So with just that, if we build, we get this black box, right? So something is loading. Maybe not what we want, but what we need to use, right? So let's just look into it. We can go to render, right? And we have this texture ID, right? This font texture ID that we can load here. Okay. So just quickly, FYI, rendering texture. Right. So you can find some simple example here. So to render a texture, you need the texture coordinates that you already have. Right. Hopefully, not sure. The next thing is texture parameter I blah 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 blah. These things we have set, I think. And yeah, this we can think of later. Then we have loaded and done everything. So I want to look at the fragment shader part. So in the fragment shader part, all that's changed is the sample the texture, right? That's what we are basically doing. So yeah, mm, let's get that checked at once. So before we draw, right, we need to bind the texture, and we have bound the texture, right? And we have also set the font texture position, right? But for now, it's only one texture, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that the UV, right? The UV, that UV is not being pushed correctly. That's my primary assumption is. So based on that assumption, I will, mm, for example, modify the shaders, and we should have something that is working. We can have the renderer resources here. So this flag UV, right? It's set to hurt UV, which is here, right? So and then that UV comes here. So if I just want to visualize that UV, right? If I just want, for example, something like this. So vec 4, right? Where I have this UV, and then maybe 1.0 and 1.0, right? So why not? So if I just do that, and then we try to build this, right? So the UV is not declared. That's true. That is totally true. I agree. Because what UV is not declared because it's called flag UV, obviously. But if we just do that, right, and then we try to build this, we should get this beautiful gradient, which means that we have the UV correct. It's only that we're not getting the texture correct, most likely. So this thing, maybe I don't remember, but if I do this, right, because it's in red channel, right, as far as I remember. So dimension error blah 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 cannot convert from IP float to four component vector IP. Yeah. So it's one float only, right? But I think I got the issue. So I will just say times sampled dot r maybe, right? Just to see what I'm getting here. Clearly the font is not being up. Oh no. Yeah. So we have the atlas here. Mm, isn't it nice? Yeah. So maybe now that we have this atlas here, we can start discarding pixels, right? We can start discarding pixels, right? That will be the first, so that we get the transparency on, right? So let's start with that. So this part, right? So let's just be as it is, right? Let's this be as it is. But let it is the like, so we can have like a float on SDF, right? And this is nothing but the red component of it, right? And we have the tint, so we can just set the color to be tint, right? So whatever tint we got, frag tint, right? And then final color dot a we can multiply with SDF, right? This will essentially not change anything, right? This will essentially show the same output or not. Yeah. So it didn't show the same output. Rather, it's just this black screen, right? So yeah, so that's most likely because like in that pink, right? So first of all, now the color is like red for now, right? And 1.0, right? And then we are just multiplying the a value with this. Cannot convert high float to this. Okay, and we are still getting that error. All right. Somehow it does not like me writing this. Okay, but then it likes when I do this. I don't understand. Like this is double standard, man. So wait for this, right? And then sample maybe, and then load font HTTP business. This is what you're saying that is okay, but that is not no. This is also not okay. Error. So assign cannot convert from const high float to 4 vector of high float. But we're not doing anything like that, right? So font SDF is a float, right? And if I just do this, right? If I just do this multiplied by font SDF, right? And essentially, this is line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? 14, 15, around this. So, with that, right, what do we get? Let's see. So still, it's cannot convert float to vector. But where am I trying to convert float to vector? Um, that I don't understand. Hmm. Oh, yeah, vec vector. That's right. And then we can say that final like color dot a star equals to this, right, context here. So we will still see the black, but no, we actually got full red, right? If you see, we get full red, but that's fine. Why that's fine is because you can just do it here as well. Context here. Not do this, so that the other channels are also affected. If we just do that, right? If we just do that, what do you get? We get this thing, right? So we need to enable depth testing, obviously. That is the crux of the problem, right? So let's just enable that. So not depth testing, but like alpha blending, right? So before I draw here, right? This is your drawing. So before I do this drawing shit, we need to enable alpha blending, right? So yeah. So let's say enable alpha blending, right? And the AI should get it. So source minus alpha, yeah, source and yeah, on minus source minus alpha. That is good. And then after I'm done drawing, right, I will disable the blending. Right. So with that change only, what do we get? we get this, right? So now we are getting the blend, right? So now it's about just getting the edges right, right? So that we can do. That's what we will do, right? So now that this is it, it should now work properly, right? So we can just say that final colors only the only the like last component RGBA or XYZW should be multiplied by font HDF. For now, we will change that. So with that, we should get a similar result, but this time it should be a little bit more brighter. Okay, final color has a syntax error that we need to fix. So is it not called final color? It's called final color, but it needs this, I guess. So now if we do, like, we get this, like, okay. So the intensity of the color is preserved, and we get this like nice HDF fields around them, right? So what I would probably like to do at this point is I would like to like, have some kind of a text to group of sprite kind of thing, right? So let's get on building that thing up, right? So maybe std vector of sprite underscore t, right? So create text sprite, right? And right now let's say it's ASCII, so it's going to take let's say const char star text followed by the font you want to render, but right now no you need that. So we need the font as well. Mm. And we need obviously where to render, right? So float x and float y, right? Whereas float x and float y can be like this can be 0, this can be for example 0.4 right now, because I don't know like if we're if we're rendering that in on top or bottom, and also there is a chance that we're getting some like we will see that, right? So at this point of time we'll need a sprites which will at the end we will return, right? So we'll return those sprites. Yeah, in between maybe we'll have a for loop, like we will have a cursor obviously. So for let's say so yeah we'll get the width and everything here right now, but let's say for now load like correction factor or something like that, and which is basically like let's say 50, right? So everything that we'll encounter we will divide it by 50. That is the idea, or we can just say that 1 divided by 50, so we can just multiply it, because somehow multiplication is faster than division. Yeah, when I say something good there is no one, but that's fine. So we can have like the length of the text, right? So yeah, so what is the problem? Right. Oh, screen over, right? Right. So that takes care of it. Now we can say that for int I is equals to 0, um, 0 is also fine. I is less than, because it's a long number. I is less than let's say str len of our text, right? So maybe we don't need this. I don't know. Then might have I plus plus, right? Or main build up loop. And inside this build-up loop, what we can do is what they're doing basically, we're going to do that. But for now, let's do it by hand, right? So char c, right, is equals to obviously text type. That's fine. Next, we need to get the glyph, right? So auto reference glyph is this, right? Now, it takes a uint 32, so we can cast it, right? So we can say that uint 32 underscore p. So whatever the value of c is in that range, right? So yeah, I think it was unit 32, right? So if we just open the front file we wrote, right, it actually works right now. So that's a good thing. But like the glyphs themselves, right? They are an unordered map of UN32 underscore P, right? So maybe I can just cast it here. So but that's same, right? We can just say here like instead of char this is a UN32 underscore T, right? Right. So maybe because this is marked as fonts. That is my doubt is because that this operator also lets me um like this operator also lets me like set the value, right? Because this is by reference. And yeah, we can continue with it if it does not have any width or height. Else, we can create a sprite, right? So we have the cursor X. For now, we're not further. So and then we can say that X is this, right? And these are fine. Like, these are what it's supposed to do. So the data, right? In the data itself, we have this, right? So the sprite dot x and y is just like this, right? X, Y, Z, and W. So width and height, right? So y, this y, I don't know where this y you got. Oh, this y you got here, right? So that's it. So and so the data itself is nothing but actually we can say that this is a one. So this is font. Right now it's not in use, right? And this can be the texture that we can completely ignore for data right now, and we can focus on the crop itself. So sprite dot crop, that is what I'm interested in. So crop dot x, right, is x offset divided by the font image, right? That makes sense. And the same goes for this, right? So yeah, that's basically the crop if I'm not wrong, right? And so now that I have this crop, I can use this crop, right? And I can create sprites, right? So here in the main, right? You can go to the main, right? And in the main, we can create something like we can have like this will be like apple, and the font we know is nothing but renderer dot font, right? So yeah, and then in the sprite, we can say that the render sprite is actually this text sprite, right? So text sprites, something like that. Now, if you build this, right, you get nothing. That's good. Getting nothing is good. So, uh, so this prop is right, except that we're not setting that prop. But suddenly we shouldn't like get nothing. So we'll first do this. Mm, so render resources maybe. For now, we'll just not do this so that you can see that actually the sprites are coming. So when you're doing graphics, you need to do a lot of back and forth, right? But what makes more sense is actually knowing that these are the values that are being calculated, right? So that thing we can do, we can just copy this line, right, outside here somewhere, right? And with that, what we can do is we can log, right? So for and check. So we can log this stuff, right? Not this. This is not logging. So what you can do is, as we can say that, okay, printf this thing, and also scroll, and also for now in the render, right? We can comment this printf out. We can if needed we can have it later, but right now I don't want you to like in the font. I think when you're loading the font, right? I don't want to like fill my screen with this prints. At least for now, we we can do that later. But for now, we don't want that, right? And now we build, right? Mm. So font is initialized, blah blah blah. But font atlas is not empty. But we can't see that those prints, right? The screen is empty. So yeah. So I think we're not render because like see here we are printing this, right? Inside this loop we don't need this thing as well, right? Because we know that our font is now loaded. Don't need this. We don't need this. But here essentially we are getting no fonts, right? So that's why this is not printing, because obviously this loop is running just the Windows creating. So the suspect is that I think to go inside render it, right? We most likely never appending that text. That's what I'm thinking. So we can just check that, and we will refactor this code, everything once we are done. Just not right now. So you can say that sprites why d ah SPR, if I can spell it correctly, pushback sprite, right? So we are not pushing back. I think that was the issue why we didn't get anything. So that being sorted out, we can now test for that, right? And we get this boxes, right? We get this boxes somehow. We don't know what is inside it, so let's just enable the transparency, and from the chaos let's try to find something. Actually let's open it in a different viewport. So source, plus so maybe like this, and let's get the texture mapping back, right? So with texture mapping back, we get something else what we didn't think, but we're getting something which is more important, right? So yeah, so we didn't touch this crop, right? So what it should be is that whatever the UV is, right? It should override this UV, right? Instead of this UV for each point, right? It should use my UV, right? So for that, this is the so for a point, it will be nothing but this UV, right? Multiplied by the so yeah, this UV multiplied by the crop, right? Crop dot width and height, right? And then the offset of x and y added to it, right? That should be the UV that I think. So let's have another frag UV. So the frag UV is not this, but vert UV times I think instance crop dot zw plus this, right? Exactly what we talked. And once again, you have my caps lock on. So with that, you should see something different, which is not quite what we expect, but that's fine. So the next part will be to okay. So the crop is clearly having minus value, right? The crop should never have minus value. So this should never happen, right? So why we need to check why the crop is getting minus value. Right? We got that immediately. Otherwise, it would have haunted us in a very bad way. So as far as the x is concerned, right? The x is nothing but like the sprite's x is this, right? But the crop's x is this x offset, right? This x offset, what does it specify? So we need to store the x and y after all for the sprite, right? Because we need to know like if I open this here right now, right, on the font, right, the data we are storing is this, right? So this is the data that we have stored. So we know that the glyph is somewhere, right? But and it has this size, but we have no idea what the x and y value for the yeah is, like from what offset we should start looking, right? So we should probably have an x and y, right? And that x and y basically is the point from where we are drawing this glyph in the atlas, right? So we're putting this glyph here, right, based on this offset of x and offset y. So basically, our x and y is nothing but the offset x and offset y itself. So this g, right? This g is our glyph. So g dot x is our offset x, right? And g dot y is our offset y. Right? So with that, now we have this g dot x, right? So we have this x and this y here. So with that change only, can we see some difference? Mm, well, it's brighter, so in some way. So that is like going somewhere, but we need to, and once again, just let me see what the coordinates were given, right? So yeah, as usual, here it does not. Okay, it prints, but it prints a bit later. So yeah, maybe we can just drag this a bit. So okay, it didn't think of printing, but I need to see those. So let's just save everything. So in main, I think something is not saved. So let's save that as well. And let's just run it from here. Right. So now we have x and y coming correctly, right? for apple a x is 0. That makes sense. Y is small value, right? I don't know if it's correct or not, but you can see the x value here with the rect is going to 0 0.6, right? And y value is very high, right? 0.8. So that we don't want, that for sure. So that gives us a hint as to where we might mess up, right? So first of all, in the main, right? How are we calling it? So in the main, right? If we look into it, the way we are calling it is like this, right? We're not providing any x and y. It's using the default x and y. So we can go to the renderer, right? And we can check, because that's one of the things that we do. We keep on checking stuff. So x starts from 0, right? And y starts from, let's say, 0.2. Okay. So we're not like completely outside. With that only, right? With that only, what change we get? That only we get seeing things like this, right? But we're somewhere not completely lost. So now this x values, right? They should increase. So the first x is 0.10, 0.10. The second rect x should start after that, right? So that we need to fix. So here we need to do one thing, that is after we have pushed the sprite, right? We want to increment the cursor, but this advance is not right now. So we will just use glyph dot with for now. Correct. Um, times cf, yeah. So that way we get like scrolling, right? And this y we already have it inverted, so it just makes sense that we can just add it, right? We can check that later, but for now we can assume that we can add it. And with that, now we have some giant things in the screen, right? And these are essentially giant because like we have the width and height, right? Which is quite big. This width and height is quite big, and I think the best way to get around that is doing something like this. Like I don't know, maybe 100 will be a good value. At least 100 will be like from scale wise, it will be like double small. So yeah, we are getting somewhere, right? So maybe we'll stick with 300, and then we'll fix other things once our text is like in line. Mm. So yeah, so we have this apple, right? But as you can see that it actually looks aligned. Strangely, it actually looks aligned. So for example, if I like um, if I just go to main, right? If I just go to main, and if I just write apple pie, written by p. Right. If I write this great quote, right? Apple pie written by pig. So right. So let's say apple pie by pig. So yeah, it seems that however we did it so good that we don't need to do that reverse calculation, right? We just need to take care of the SDF part. Yeah. So let's just get this text a bit crispy, and then we can get back to that. And then in the next one, we can fix the aspect ratio and make it like in pixel format, right? So yeah, let's do things hard coded for now. Later we'll use some better approach. So we can have something like what do we say? Yeah, we have our shaders, right? So we need to modify our shaders so that it has something like for example, we have something like two edges, right? So after we have this value, right, we have some kind of a mask, right, which is calculated from this SDF. SDF means science design vector field. So it is just a value between 0 and 1, you can think, right? And instead of multiplying with the SDF field, we'll most likely multiply it with mask, right? So we need to set the mask in such a way that in between two edges, right? So we have like let's say float E1, which is let's say my inner edge, right? And then inner edge is like let's say 0.2, right? And let's say we have the outer edge, right? E2, which is like plus 1 from 0.2, right? So like this. So now what I'm essentially trying to say is that until your value is like for yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that unless when you are below 0.2, right? And then you are basically black, right? You are basically solid text. So that is one thing. And the way we do that is using step, right? So just go one time at a time. So if I step, right? So anything above 0.2 will become 1, but anything below 0.2 will become essentially 0, right? So if we just do this, right, it will not work. But what I want to see is the output. And obviously we have a syntax error. It's not mask, but mask MS, right? Elon Musk. Yeah. So with that, we can build this, right? And we can see something like this, right? Which is this is not like what we want. But yeah. So if I do something like this, 1.0 minus, right? So if we invert that, then I get the outer lines, right? So maybe the E1 value, if I get it very less, right? So 0.2 is apparently much more for it to handle. So how about we take a circular approach? Like, oh no, sorry, my bad. So this will be this. Okay, this will be E1, right? Because I'm stepping by E1, right? So if we run that right now, we get this, which is appropriate, right? So what we want to see is a better version of it, that is smooth step. So GLSL smooth step, right? We have to know about this function, smooth step. So it takes a edge, right? It takes edge 0, right? And it takes edge 1, right? And it takes edge x. So what it does is it is if it's below x, like a smooth step. So intervals between 0 and 1. So before behind x 0, edge 0, everything will be 0. And after edge 1, everything will be 1, right? So yeah, that I understand. So basically what we are going to do is something like this. So smooth step E1 and then E2. E2 is like E1 plus E2, I think, right? So if we just do that, okay, we will see something weird, but we'll know that we're going somewhere, right? So yeah, so I think what you need to do is this instead. But like I don't think that this is correct, but you can again go on, right? So we have this. piece of shit. Right. So let's say E1 is now something very small. Like let's say E1 is 0.01, right? And this is like 0.04. So this is something that you have to experiment, right? But well, it depends on like what you're doing. So clearly, what you're doing is not right. So we have this mask, right? So which is basically um if multiplied, right? If we just say that mask equals to font SDF, right? Once again, I'm losing track in the math, but that happens sometimes when you're putting for a long time. We get this thing, right? So one thing that bothers me is that like this is not 100% red kind of like that's the vibe I am getting, but I'm giving 100% here, right? So maybe the mask is not like. Mm. So if I just do 1.0 minus this mask, right? So we should get the invert, right? So that we should check once. And we get this inverted, right? So inside is empty, outside is getting filled, right? So now this mask, right? So what we need is like this SDF, right? When it's less than this value, it should be a 1, and which is when it's greater than this value, right? So now in the opposite sense, like in the SDF will be greater, right? At the like because the original SDF mask if we see, right? So it's greater. So maybe so we can have like mask equals to smooth step, right? And say when the SDF value is greater than this, right? So if the SDF value is um greater than, okay, let's see, let's just step first. The smooth step is just smoothing. So if we can get it done in step, we should be good with smooth step. So now what we are doing? We're essentially saying that anything below this, set this to 0.5, let's say. Anything below 0.5, set it to 0, and anything above 0.5, set it to 1, if I'm right. All right. So that means the center part will become empty, right? Because the center part will become opaque. So we will essentially, um, if I do that, right? So the center part is opaque, right? But if I reduce this value to something like 0.001, something like that, because I think it's using a very less. I mean, yeah, but these things we can get fixed, right? So if E1 is great, like E1 is let's say 0.4, right? So anything below 0.4 will be 0. If I do that, yeah, so I was going in the wrong direction. Now it's getting some shape, right? So let's say our E1 is less than 0.8, right? So anything below 0.8, that should be considered 0.8 opacity, and anything above 0.8 opacity, that should be considered as like black, right? So anything didn't cross the 0.8, that's set. So 0.7. So inside is not getting 1. We need to maybe remap the color. That we will see that. but now we get this apple pie by pig, right? And like not considering the spaces, the alignment is correct, right? But as you can see, this edges, right? These edges are edges. I don't know if you can see this, but these edges are very jaggedy, right? These edges are very jaggedy. So we want these edges to be smooth, right? So that is where this thing comes, right? So what I want to say is that smooth step, okay. The idea is same. So you do smooth step, right? But from E1 to E1 plus, like it will minus, right? Because okay, let's do plus, then we'll see minus. But it should be minus, I think. From this to this, I want to transit rather than being just black and white. I want the mask to be transiting between 0 and 1, right? So if I just do that, I get something like this, right? And if I zoom it, I can see that the edges are being a bit smoother, but there is a shadow kind of thing. So I think, like, ideally it should be so anything between from 7 to 8, it should translate, right? So anything from like 0.65 to this, right, to E2, it should it should get that so it's from 0.65 to 0.7, you create that smooth transition, but till 0.65, so when the value is 0.65, you're essentially saying that, okay, so this will be minus, I think. We'll check. But for now, let's just build it, and we'll build with minus ones. So this looks smooth. This text looks smooth, but it has this shadowy kind of effect, right? So that is what I'm thinking. Like actually, from E1 minus E2. If I put this here, this is also wrong. I like my gut is saying that this is wrong. My gut sometimes says wrong thing. Yeah. See, so we can have like different cool kind of effects just based on like what kind of masking we are doing, right? So yeah, but one thing we is sure that this should be like, for example, let's try to visualize it, because the problem is that I'm just guessing rather than visualizing. When you visualize, things come easier, right? So we have some light color, right? And then we have some dark color. But what happens is that and is opposite. Like why what we want is that when the value is, let's say, whiter, right, very high, then I want to draw it. So actually, if I just put, no, that okay, but that will be appropriate in this scenario, right? But what I want to do is not that. I just want to like have E1 minus E2 right here, right? Because that should give us a kind of similar effect like this, right? And now we can adjust this to 0.6, right? And because like after like we can adjust this to sorry, so we can like for example adjust this to be 7, right? So only from 7 you do this, okay. So this will make the text a bit slimmer, I guess, like this, right? So it will make the text a bit slimmer, and now you can see that we have like smooth edges also, right? we have smoother edges, right? So this may be 0.1, just to check, right? And this is like 0.74, something like that. Now, I don't know why how this thing comes. So it's to build it, you can get a like, nice quality text, which is rendered by SDF. So yeah, like if we want crispness more, right? So we can reduce this value to 0.2 or something like that. So we'll get more crisp um writing, for example, right? Something like this, right? So yeah, but a good value, what I think, like mm, we should I can do this, right? I can do let's keep it for now like this, and let's keep E2 to something like 0. I don't know, maybe 0.08. So we'll check that. We'll create a rule at some point of time. But I'm happy with this text, right? I'm quite happy with this text, right? Maybe for different groups we need to do a bit more yeah. But I'm happy with the text. I'll probably just manage the size a bit, and that's it. And I'll just add another good song. Yeah, we don't play songs. Just use music, but sometimes you can use songs as well. I don't know. Which ones should we choose? Maybe this one.
Meet
This
Cantabro.
girl
He doesn't
looks like
understand
a bit
Augustus yet, but he heard you guys like.
Florence, and this sounds nice, right? So let's just get a bit of cleanup, and then we can. Okay, I don't want this I just want music. I don't want someone singing. Else, if I wanted, I could sing as well. So this is good. Yeah. So where are we? Where are we? Yeah. So we were somewhere here, like loading the text sprites, like creating those text files. And basically, at some point of time, we can just cache them, right? So we can go to renderer, right? And we can set this here to something good, right? So we can have something like for now, right? Uh, int font size, and what we essentially do is okay, let's not have it here right now. Let's for now let's have it here. So at some point of time we need to consider we'll consider the screen width externally, right? So for now let's assume that we have like a bigger screen width, right? And we have like see a very small, right? Just a temporary solution that we're trying to do, right? Uh, and with that, as we have this thing, right? CF, and we usually do it by this, but it isn't appropriate to do it by this, okay? Because there is advance for that. So we will use advance, but I'll need to check because as far as I remember, you need to shift advance or something like that. So we'll check. Um, but for now, I want to just add the support for space. So what I want to add is that if let's say the cursor dot x is this, right? No, like if this is really wrong. So what I want is this, like if let's say text I is space, right? So I can have a space advance, right? This is like for now it's just let's say 30, right? That's why not. 30, I think, with our fonts are 34, 34, around 32 with 32 kind of size, as I saw, right? So 30 makes a bit of sense. So then we have space, but for now, like, just to check, right? For now, we need to also like go down, right? This if I share to 0.1, right? Where would the text appear? Also, like, we have some kind of like load max, and which is like, for example, in our case is 0.2, right? So the purpose of max width is, right, if in some way this cursor x, right, this cursor x, which starts at x, crosses x plus max width, right? So here we can check if cursor x crosses x plus max width, right? We need to go to the next line. So basically, what we will do is, we didn't had a concept of cursor y. We are just using y, right? But we are taking y as input, right? So it makes sense that we can do like, so we can do something like this. So y plus equals to, let's say this, for now, y 50 maybe. And also the same goes for when I have a new line, right? When I have a new line character, I probably want to do that. So that's also true. So if let's say, this is just a naive implementation to just see, right? So what do we'll check, right? So if we have a new line, we also do this, and this whole calculation remains same. So we just do that, right? If we have something like, we build this, right? We have apple pie by pig, right? So at this point, my suspicion is that we have some syntax error, maybe, uh, because like, this didn't reflect that much. Like, if I make it like 800, right, quite big, the text should get smaller, right? But it doesn't seem that it's smaller. So maybe we can add some more text, and we can see, right? In main, we can have like, we have this apple pie by pig, right? And obviously tab we don't have, right? So, and then I love you, right? And if we build this, right, we are getting some errors, right? Okay, that's my bad. Hmm. So yeah, what errors did we get actually? What errors did we get? Need to check that. Hold on. So the errors we are getting is that I'm missing some syntax error, missing this. But where are this syntax error? This syntax errors are coming from somewhere else. Let's just quickly um close it, right? So, and let's build it so we can get all the errors, right, to see. So ratio operation OCL blah blah blah. These are Microsoft files, so these files don't give me much of an idea as to where things went wrong, right? So yeah, we need to check that a bit, but that should be easy. And after finishing that, I think I will close the stream for today. So suddenly I think a renderer is not in the namespace. So I think the problem is in renderer. Like, maybe I have written something that I shouldn't. Right. So this function, yeah. So as usual, we messed up one of these guys. Right. But if we build now, yeah, we get something like this. Apple by pig and I love you. So yeah, we'll use the advanced in later. But for now, let's just I think that we can just minimize the gap a bit, and we can try to load a file and show it, right? Because why not? So and that will be like a good ending, maybe. I don't know. So as far as the color is concerned, right? Was so I'm not setting the okay. I was using that year color, um, but probably it makes sense that we have a color, right? So yeah, we will care about that color later. We have the tint already for the color, so we can take that color. But let's not keep this 50 here, or let's keep it something like that. Like we have something like mm, int SZ, which is like 50, right, 20. SZ maybe X and maybe SZOY, which is like 40, right? Just some arbitrary values. For now, we will have the correct values at some point in time. For now, SZX will we'll use the advance and the others to calculate those. And now, yeah, that and we need to get the like, biggest bound of the fonts, right? This is SZY, right? And similar way, this is also SZY, right? And with that only, right? And also, if we change the like let's search for clear color. Mm, So this should be a clear color, right? In the renderer here, it should be clear color. Okay. I think it is. It uses yes insensitive. So maybe I will lower this a bit, like 0.4 or something, right? We'll have a bit darker background, right? And on top of that darker background, maybe we can have like you can go to render resources and we can have a bit lighter color. We will use some other colors later, but for now, let's just say that we are using something like a lighter color. And now, if we just build it and run it, right, we get something like this. So apple pie by pig and I love you. So yeah, maybe the space is still a bit more. I maybe need to reduce it for apple as well. But yeah, we can just do that. We can just load and render a file, right? At least a chunk of part of the file, and we can call it a day. Yeah, so let's do that quickly. Because I think I'm coding for a bit of time now. So yeah, so first things first, let's make the background a bit darker, right? So this background is 0.6. This should be like 0.3, and this should be like 0.3, something like that, right? So that it's dark enough. Next is in the like here the color that we are using, right? So I don't want a red. I don't like the red aspect of it. So I'll just remove the red aspect and I'll just make this brighter, right? So this is 0.56, but this is 0.8, right? So blue aspect is higher, I think. And then we can just go to main, and no, one thing more in the renderer, maybe right now because we're not using the appropriate spacing, we may want to like decrease the space size a bit. So SZX might be like I don't know, 15, right? Small space. And we can go to main, and we can try to load the file and try to render it, right? Yeah. So here we are already creating text, right? So you don't need to do this. You can directly elaborate text right here. And here for a text file, I can have a small function right now that we will see, but for now, um, right, and you can have this thing, right, and we can include. Oh, it complains that sometimes it complains that if open is not safe, you should use f1 underscore s, but that's fine. I don't think anywhere near F open is going away. But the reason being is that F open is in so much legacy code, right? It will not be easy to get F open deprecated. But yeah, basically we have this function, right, which loads a string as a file. So we can try to load our main file itself, like this small part, and see if it's rendering, right? And yeah, on that you can do. So basically here we are creating the text, right? So std string, maybe text string is something like load file as string, and you can load like src slash main.cpp, right? Because there are files. Maybe I'm using a wrong path, but you can check that. And now that we have text string, if like ChatGPT doesn't mess up this simple function, right, or Copilot, whatever you like. I think it's using ChatGPT on the whole. I'm not using Anthropic right now. And if I just now try to build it, we okay. So one thing we need to like wrap this back to here instead of here, right? So x should be 0 when you're getting down. That part needs to be clear. So these are just the small tweaks that we're doing, right? So not good. The system is in good condition from where we left, and you can reboot even more. So maybe we're using we need to use a bigger number for smaller font size. Right now, that is the way we are doing the font size business, right? It's business. And so when I'm encountering n, this should be restored. But when I'm doing the max width also, the x should be restored, right? So with that only, yeah, we can get text being rendered on the screen in a very good resolution, right? So the point I was telling you that it's not that huge of a deal, right? It's not like it's very hard. It's, uh, just you need to write a lot, but it's not very hard. So one thing I would like to have is like a maybe a blackboard kind of theme, right? And yeah, I'm just now I'm just tweaking things a bit, trying to get some nice things out. So the rate can be 0.5, right? you can be 0.7, green can be 0. Bumped up to 0.7. So it will be like a very light green versus very like blue, greenish to blue kind of thing, right? Something like this. And then to top it off in the renderer, right? You can make this something like 15. I don't know. So it will be smaller text. Will it be smaller? Most likely. Yeah. So we have voila. We have some kind of text rendering going on, and it's quite a nice FPS also, right? Because we have just created that text only one. Even if we get 30 FPS, it's nice. And with everything that's going on, right? With everything that's going on, so I look like my CPU usage is like 30% around, right? Not 30, but right now 11% around. So yeah, it's not, and if I close this, it's right 9% around. It's not like it's wasting some resources, but in my CPU it's not wasting that much resources. But if you have less cores, then probably it will be wasting much resources because like ideally I should be sleeping, right? Ideally I should like I should not like keep on continuously while looking. But yeah, I think this is a good point where we can close and we can start from the next part, right? So this is what we achieved today, like good quality text rendering, font loading, and like doing basic using our sprite batch, right? And giving it the glory it deserved. Now you can say that, like, yeah, like it's nice. So yeah, that's it for today. Um, in the next episode, we will start with the basic like UI management and code cleanup, as well as like, maybe we'll get started with typing and modifying the text. But I don't want to get started with like modifying the text just now. First, I want to have some basic UI options, right? For example, we need a scroll view, right? So we need to be able to scroll in the view. So that is more important for me right now than to be editing the text. Because when you're editing the text, you need to be like, we will be editing and selecting all the stuffs. But also like the basic thing, like having some buttons to load the file, just click and load the file and those things, right? So yeah, um, from the next day we'll be continuing from there only. But we did quite a good progress in maybe like 3 or 4 hours. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours. But yeah, it's nice. And yeah, at some point of time, we can think that we're going to get a good text editor, right? So yeah, within like maybe a few streams, 1 or 2 streams more, we might be able to have a basic text editor in which we can just edit the text, right? And yeah, like we need to do a bit of cleanup and these things. That's why I told you like 2 or 3. But yeah, the in the next stream, my base objective will be to get like code a bit cleaner. Okay, like right now it's not that complicated, but very soon it will get complicated. We will have like different structs all over the places and different functions and like basically structs I use as class. I don't like inheritance that much, so that is one point of it. But apart from that, what we have is quite good, and we can call it a day. So yeah, thank you everyone. Hope you had a very nice day so far, and you might have. And yeah, we did progress a bit today. We ended up to something like this. which is not that bad, all things concerned. So yeah, see you on the next stream of creating this text editor. Until then, bye.